Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk to you about a book of centuries, but not just any book of centuries. I think as homeschool moms we are all pretty familiar with the concept of book of centuries. It's the Charlotte Mason style, and if you're not familiar, well then this video might help you with that as well. But as I was going through trying to find a book of centuries for my family, because I've always been really intrigued with the idea, I couldn't find something that worked for me and that made sense. I used one previously, or I tried to, and I was terrified to fill it out because I felt like if I didn't put everything in numerical order, so like in order the history went, then I would be messing up my timeline. And this book of century books kind of gets rid of that. So I'm going to flip the camera around and give you guys a closer look. But first, I want to show you guys what I created just with paper and pencil and on my own. So you guys are able to create this on your own if you want to, but I do have a version that I'm selling on Amazon so that if you just want the ease of ordering it, you can do that as well. So this is the book of centuries that I created, and I have tabbed it and all of that jazz. The one off Amazon, there are several other colors, and I had to order this to see if it would work, and I did make some revisions in it, which I'll go over with you guys later. But this is the book of centuries that I have for sale on Amazon. There are several different colors. You won't have the not for sale going across it. Again, this was just like the author's printed version to make sure that everything was perfect. Anyways, so let's flip the camera around and give you guys a closer look of how these work. Okay, so these are the two books that I made. This one is obviously homemade, and this one is the one off of Amazon. So let me show you the homemade one first, because it's basically the whole idea of the one that is for sale on Amazon. So first I went through and I tabbed everything. So we have ancient times, Middle Ages, early modern, and modern times. Then open up right here and we've got the key. So the key is very, very important to how this whole thing works. So first off, we've written down all of the continents, and all of the continents are in a different color. And then I even went ahead and did a map here because it's very helpful to actually visualize what continent that's in. But I've outlined the continents in the correct color. The correct continent is written in that color that it was outlined in. And that way when you record something, depending on where it happens, depends on what color you put it in. So if something happened in Africa, I'm going to write it in orange, Asia, red, so on and so forth. It's broken down into different increments. The increments are 4000 BC to 400 AD, and those are 100-year increments. And then 500 AD to 1500 AD is 50-year increments. You do 5-year increments from 1600 to 1845, 2-year increments from 1850 to 1998, and then from the 2000 to 2099, we have 1-year increments. So that is actually written down in the Amazon book. It's not written down in my homemade book. Okay, and then on each of these increments, I'm showing you one that is more filled out so you can kind of have the idea. This is in 200 BC. This is one in 100 BC. I then have it broken down into categories. So these are things that happened in the Bible. These are things that happened in my personal religion. This is not on the Amazon version, just so everybody knows. That's why this is homemade, and if you would like me to add one to the Amazon version, I'm more than happy to. But this, on the Amazon one, all you're getting is the Bible, and then you will have the explorers and discoveries section so that you can kind of break it apart. And with the Amazon one, again, I made some changes, but I'll go over those as I show them to you. And then you have your wars and events, okay? So based on where things happen, like this happened on the African continent, it's in that strip of Israel. So it was kind of, I got to choose if it was Asia or Africa. And in my mind, it made better sense to put it as Africa. And then here, all of these things happened in Europe because they're purple. And then red was Asia. And then down here for wars and events, we have all of these things happening in Europe at that time, which I really love to be able to look through and see like, oh, all these things were happening in the world at the same time. What I really love to be able to tie in is the Bible. I think a lot of time there is a separation from like history books and Christian books. So I really like that I'm able to see all of that in one form. Okay, something else that I did different in the Amazon one, but I'm just gonna show you mine. Mine is more filled out than the Amazon one. That's why I'm choosing to show you this one. Is I went through and I highlighted like this is the Renaissance era rather than putting it in my physical timeline. And then the same of the Age of Exploration. I have it going across the top in a different color so that it's like drawn to my attention like, hey, all of this was happening during this time frame. And then this is typical on all of them, even the ones on Amazon. I've left pages or blank spots with the change of the era right there so you can put in pictures that correspond with your personal timeline that you're doing of people or things like that. You're welcome to label it. It's kind of a free-for-all page. That is basically this one. I've made a lot of different improvements and changes in the Amazon one, so I am going to show you that one just because it probably works a little bit better for everyone. This one was very, like I said, I made this myself with pen and paper and rulers. So this one was very easy for me to customize, but I also learned a lot of good things after doing this one that I am excited to show you guys. Okay, so this is the Book of Centuries that's for sale on Amazon. Again, you will not have this not for sale bar across your book. This is just what I printed for myself to get an idea of if it was right. Okay, you're gonna open this up and you're gonna have your Book of Centuries title page. You will have in the book the year breakdowns. I do have notes in this book because I have moved it on the page. I didn't like it here, so it has been moved. But this is basically the same concept, okay? And you have this page right here, and this is just a note from me saying thank you. And I also give you a couple of tips and tricks on how to fill out this book and use it for yourself. And then right here, it says you can check out this video basically if you need a refresher, but that's there for you. And I made this a single page because these are perforated pages. You could rip this out so that you don't have to have it in your book at all. So here's that same key. And again, excuse this, I was testing markers and things like that to see how it would go through, so I can tell you guys about that a little bit later. But here's the key for the world on this one. And for your guys' color coordination, because you can't very easily write back over these, you could easily just highlight over them, but then you're having to write in a highlighter and that's awful. So I just made it so that you have boxes to color in, and then you still have the opportunity to outline the world map as well. And then you open up, here's ancient times. This is also different from what I had on mine. So you'll have a cover page for ancient times, and this is where you can put the tab for ancient times is just on the side here. And then we go into the spread of the pages. So it is a 2-page spread, and so what you're going to have in this current region, you have your 3 categories. You have religion. I didn't have it be specifically the Bible because again, mine was specifically for me. This is for anybody to be able to customize it for themselves. So this is religion, people and discoveries instead of explorers and discoveries, because I realized rather quickly that people made more sense. And then wars and events there on the bottom. And then as we flip through, let me get to another time, your side margins, side labels here are going to shrink and get smaller as we go forward in history and more things happen. Remember, I'm not a historian, so if some of these tabs or titles you are wishing were further on, you're welcome to leave a comment in the box below, and I'm happy to try and figure out how to add that on for you and let you know when it's available for purchase on Amazon as well. But let's skip forward a little bit. So then at 1200 AD, I also add, which this is about the time when the Renaissance happens, I also added music and art down here. So these boxes just got a little bit smaller, But I put music and art at the bottom as well because when you are timelining your things, it'll be easier to kind of keep everything in a straight line as you turn pages. And music and art does just start on this 2-page spread. It doesn't start over here, so keep that in mind. And then as we continue on into modern times, so here throughout the book you're either going to have a full page spread or you're going to have a half-page spread for your new era that you're entering into, or a full page spread. It just depended on how the layout worked when I was creating the book. If it's a half-page spread like this, you're still going to get your labels right here, and then your year picks up right here. So you have your family, religion, that's a new one starting in modern times. So you have family, religion, people and discoveries, wars, events, and music. Now, again, I put family at the top here because when you go through in your timelining, it'll just make sense when you add the whatever events that go further than what is here. So, and these are all of the events that you have until the end of the book. This is as broken down as it gets. And then you just keep going. This book goes until 2101. Okay, so, and it's just every year after that. So you're able to write things that happen in your family. You're able to write things that are happening in either your personal religion or just in religion in general. You're able to do your people and discoveries. You're able to do wars and events, music and art. So it's really well thought and laid out. I would think so. But this is the one that is available on Amazon. Now there is one thing that I do want to show you that's in the other book. Okay, so this is something specific that I wanted to show you guys on how to actually timeline the book out. So if you have something that is happening for a long period of time, usually a war or somebody's lifespan, I really like to do this way as well. I will write it in the middle of the columns, and then I write an arrow to where it goes to. So this one ended in 1591, and this is when we're going in 50-year increments when it comes to the columns. Here, let me scoot this down, you guys can see. So the next time, so where this one's going in 50-year increments, the next time I turn the page, we're going to be at 1600, and this ended in 1591. So what I do is I put a line and an arrow through with what's happening right here, and I put it ends in 1591. So I kind of put it partway through this box, not all the way, but just partway to know like, hey, this happened for the majority of this era. And then it started way back here in 1464, and so I just have the beginning date and the end date when it begins, and then I do arrows on both pages to wherever it ends. Now this is especially helpful when you are plotting a certain war or event, because I feel like the other timelines, you just put a dot on the timeline and then that's it. Like, you don't get to see where it ends. You don't get to see what else is happening during the time period. Like, these were two wars that were happening at the same time. One was happening in Africa and one was happening in Asia. So, I mean, those things I feel like are important. There are some other things that I have found interesting as well. So, for example, if you're big into the Victorian era like I am, I had no clue that the Victorian era was happening during the US Civil War. Didn't have a clue. I thought this happened way before the Civil War happened, but it didn't. So those are just things that I have appreciated looking at. This is also the same time, you know, that Abraham Lincoln's around, the Oregon Trail use ends in this era. Just things like that that I find very interesting. This is why I made this book of centuries, so that you can actually look at, you know, 1620 to 1625, and you can see all the things that were happening during this time frame and in what category. And it will also help you in the future as you continue to learn and add to your book of centuries. You can look and say, oh, there was the 30 Years War was happening at this time. Here's the war section. Have I already put that in? Oh, yes, I have. I learned about that before. So this is why I have done the book this way, because I feel like looking at it at a glance, you can see everything that happened here. You're able to easily put it in, like if it was a war or an event, it goes here. If it was a people or a discovery, it goes here. Art and music, so this is the Reformation, I put that there. You can kind of better organize your information, and then when you come back days, months, weeks, years later to put something else in that you have learned, you're able to easily see like, oh, I've already put Charles the First in. I don't need to put him in again. Whereas, you know, you have this man's whole lifespan up here, and then down here you can even put something that he did during that time, and you know who else was alive during that time. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, so that is the Book of Centuries that I have created. Anyways, I hope this was helpful for you. I hope that you are inspired to either create your own Book of Centuries or go ahead and purchase the Book of Centuries that I've already made for you. Again, I'll leave a link down in the description box for you on where you can find that. There are a whole bunch of different colors and things like that, and if there's a color that you would like that I don't have, leave it in the comment box. It usually takes up to 2 weeks to upload a new cover for these books, so just let me know. I can try my best. No promises that it'll be perfect, but I try to do a variety of different colors and gradients and watercolors and things like that, and then a variety of solids as well. So I hope you guys have a great day and happy homeschooling. Bye.